Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today, I want to talk to you about following the fear and those little blind spots which, by definition, you probably don't really understand what I'm talking about, and I'm going to explain them, but following the fear so that you can get your manifestation faster. Okay, so fear is a tricky thing because if you don't already know all of your fears, well, if you knew all of your fears is what I'm trying to say is if you knew all of your fears, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. You wouldn't be watching this video. So there might be fears that there are probably fears that are subconscious, and so it's tricky to find them, right? Like the whole process of manifestation is just kind of like you like pulling on this rope until you get to like one epiphany after another of, oh, this is what my block was and this is how I'm going to work through it. And oh my gosh, I can't believe it was this the whole time, right? So if you're like me and you like to be very proactive with yourself and you're very investigative and you like to really do a lot of self-reflection and self-analysis, maybe a little bit too much, then this is the method or the approach that I take to things. So I like to say that I'm following the fear. So how do you do that if these things are subconscious and you're not quite sure what exactly it is that you're afraid of? Well, one way is to simply intend that it be revealed to you. That is how I started, like, my pursuit of these blind spots was I just would affirm that whatever this block is, have it be revealed to me, because I had no clue of how to approach it, which now I do, and I'm going to share that with you. But you can simply just intend that this block will be revealed to you and it will be lifted, or healed rather, because you fully intend to actually address it and heal it once it presents itself to you. So that might be one reason. Maybe it's something that's just not quite ready to come up yet. And we don't want to rush our healing, right? We want to take everything at an appropriate pace, even if that pace might be more vigorous than others. So one is that you can just affirm for this mystery block to be revealed. You can literally say like, I really like Louise Hay's format of I lovingly release my need to struggle financially, or my need to think that my boss is out to get me, or my need to always have my car fall apart or something like that. Like whatever the circumstances, whatever the undesirable thing is, no matter how big or small, just I lovingly release. I'm lovingly willing to release this. And then you can even affirm for what you want to replace it. But I like to do this for blocks that I can't see. Now I have a different approach that I take, which is the following the fear. So let's move past that and get into the way that I kind of like feel things out. It's almost like one of those games that you see people play where like there's like a mystery box with like a mystery object inside and they're just sticking their hand in. They have to try and figure out what it is, right? It's almost like that. So what I like to do is take your manifestation, and I'm a huge visualizer. I love using my imagination. That's a big thing for me. So this is coming from that perspective. I am just realizing this. So I actually haven't technically taken this approach yet, but reflecting back on this, I think it's an approach that can definitely work. And it's like, oh, now that I can see it, I think it's a good path. So anyway, let's get to it. So visualize whatever this thing is, like, and I mean, get to like the end of things. And without feeling like you need to control or have it all figured out, try and figure out the middle parts or just see it. And the key is going to be to see what you're skipping. See what you're skipping. Even if you're, and this is where it can be a little tricky, because I do think that, like hindsight is 20/20. We get the perspective after we've gone through the things. But I still think that this works. So see what you're skipping. For example, let's see, I wrote down 2 examples. So One example is maybe you are searching for your dream job, and you have an idea of what that job is going to be, and you're getting job offers, and they technically fit your qualifications of what you think your dream job is, and you're having really successful interviews, but for whatever reason, like things are never fully following through to you starting the job. You could get as far, this is an example, so just for whatever reason, you're never actually having your first day on the job. Now, maybe it was because you could never fully imagine showing up on that first day. So maybe you could imagine yourself like in a fulfilled state with that job, but you couldn't see yourself doing the everyday kind of things, the day in, day out routine. You couldn't see that being fulfilling. You couldn't see it being exciting for you to, like buy that new outfit or buy those new supplies or like whatever, preparing for your first day. But you were easily able to visualize like the end goal of wherever you want to be in your career, and you're easily able to visualize having successful interviews. But this like in between was kind of muddy. And like you are supposed to focus on the end state, but if we're following the fear, look for those places where you just can't quite seem to fully visualize them or imagine them. Now, if you struggle with visualization period, honestly, this video might not be for you because I don't know what that's like. So I can't really speak on that. Here's a second example. Okay, so say that you're manifesting a relationship, any kind of relationship. Well, I think it's probably going to have to be like a new friendship or, a dating scenario. Maybe you feel really comfortable like matching with people on dating sites, or I was about to say like meeting people on forums, but like who does that anymore? I feel like I'm aging myself there. Maybe you have a lot of comfort around like you can visualize yourself connecting online with someone, right? But you can visualize your wedding day. And you can visualize the kids you'll have in the home that you'll have together. And you can see like pictures, like picture moments of the milestones that you'll have in this successful relationship, with your partner smiling, standing by your side. But maybe you aren't able to visualize what the first date is like. And maybe you aren't able to visualize what it's like just to be getting comfortable in person with them. So my theory with this is that those like gray areas where you're not able to fully feel into are where the blocks lie. And this is difficult because when you're tackling something as massive as like a new job or a new relationship, that's a lot of ground to cover, right? I'm not expecting you to do this all at once. This is a process. Manifestation, it's a journey, okay? It really is. It's a journey. But just when you kind of feel like there's some stagnation, or you're just like, I kind of feel like there's something going on here that I can't figure out. Look in these areas, okay? When the moment comes to you, pursue these areas that you haven't been able to fully flesh out and understand. And, it can be a little like tricky to balance these things because, Neville Goddard is like, well, you should just live in the end state. And that might be true. That might work for some people. But, this is however proactive you want to be and involved you want to be on a conscious level of your manifestation journey. This is more the people that I'm speaking to, the people that like to be really curious and really conscious. And I don't want that to that's without judgment, okay? Your process is your process. So if we take these two examples and we look back, maybe you had some sort of fear around meeting new people, or, that once things kind of get settled into a relationship and you're past the first date, maybe things start to get, fall apart for you. I don't know, whatever your story is. I'm just saying, like, wherever this gap is, there's probably some sort of fear there. Like, why is your imagination not wanting to transition through these spaces, and it's just like leaping? So if we go back to the job thing, why are you so successful imagining your interview and you can see your end goal, but the whole process of like settling into a new routine and getting to know your coworkers and getting to know the company or whatever the situation is, why is that the thing that you don't want to look at so closely? So explore that. I like to ask myself, what is this fear? Like, what is this fear showing me? What does this, let me look at my notes, hold on. Of course, my dog and my cat are like not on camera, but distracting the heck out of me. So found it in my notes. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of? And what about having this is scary? What about walking into work that first day and having to greet my coworkers and, socialize with them is scary for me? What about settling into a new relationship and the day-to-day is scary to me? Ask yourself these questions. Your subconscious is doing a really great job at blocking out every single threat for you, right? It's doing a really good job of setting up your reality so that you don't have to deal with these fears because it truly thinks that these are, unsafe things. Obviously, we feel normal amounts of fear. Well, obviously we feel fear in our daily lives, but when it comes to the subconscious blocks, these are things that we have decided and believe it is better for these actions to take place. It is better that I just don't have these things because of whatever this fear is. So I'm going to bring this into the affirmation you might actually hear quite commonly, and then I'm going to wrap it up of I am safe. I believe that this affirmation only works, or maybe that's like too definitive of a statement. Okay, I believe that the affirmation I am safe best works when you're actively feeling fear. When you're actively feeling it in your body, in your mind, I believe that that is the time to tell yourself that you are safe and affirm the safety and truly, comfort yourself and, calm yourself down. Because if you're not currently feeling fear and you're like, I know that there's some lingering fear somewhere and it's keeping this thing from me, but you're not feeling it because your subconscious is doing a really good job of setting up your reality to keep that fear away. Does that make sense? Like if your subconscious is doing its job, you're not afraid because it's keeping everything that you are afraid of away from you. Now, obviously, we grow as people, and so we face our fears, and there are some things that we feel safe to face, and there are some things that our subconscious is like, we're not going to face that fear, it's just not safe. So this is why I think following the fear and digging down and taking a look at the blind spots, and this is where contrast can really help, because it can get us to feel out those areas and figure out where the blind spots are. And I think I'm going to wrap it up there. So yeah, what am I afraid of? And what about having this is scary? So whatever the thing is right now that you want, if you're like, I'm trying to manifest communication, I'm trying to manifest this car loan, I'm trying to manifest a new refrigerator. Ask yourself, what about having this thing that I do not have is scary to me? And just really sit with yourself. Now, before I fully wrap up, to face your fear, visualize a child being afraid, or a close friend if the child thing doesn't really work for you. Someone that you have a lot of love and compassion for if you saw them upset. If they were afraid, would you be like, deal with it? No, you would approach them in a very compassionate, gentle, understanding, nurturing way. So you need to have this same energy towards yourself. If you want to feel safe to face your fears, you need to make yourself feel safe, and you need to make yourself feel supported. And that's a rant for another day. But that's why self-love and self-concept work is so important. And also just practicing having more compassionate thoughts towards yourself. The way that you speak to yourself is so important, because when you want to do healing work, you need to be the safe place for you to come to yourself with the healing that needs to be done, because it can seem silly. And these are things that parts of you are genuinely afraid of and genuinely concerned of, and they don't want to be mocked. And I know that sometimes in our desperation to get this thing that we're trying to manifest, we can be like, well, what could possibly be so bad about this? there's legitimate fear there. And if you're dismissive or have, any sort of, just consider the energy that you have when you go to approach this. Just really make sure that you're in a headspace and a mindset to give you the best you. Gonna leave it there. Okay. Have a good night, everybody. Day, morning, afternoon. I never know when anyone's watching these things. I just say what time of day it is for me. Have a good day. And, let me know what you think in the comments, if it made sense, all that. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, link to my website is down below. I also have a Patreon where I put out extra content and, building a community where I work one-on-one with the needs of the community as a whole, and I cater my content to that. So I'll see you in the next video.